we're going to be doing that again here pretty soon. So I'm glad to be back. I don't like to being referred to as a guest, but I get it.
I'm sorry. You know you always family though.
Well, you can't be both at the same time, can you?
Yeah, you can. Why not both?
I don't like guests. I like
Two
being family.
two things can be true.
Yeah, but guests just seem so. It just seems so. I know these mugs, but I don't know them. That's kind of what guest is. That's what a guest is to me. That's courtesy of the late great Bernie Mac from Kings of Comedy.
Well, we love you, Willie, and that I just want you to know more than anything. We got Sapphire here today on the ones and twos too. She misses you as well. So, what's up, Sapphire?
I have fallen in love with Willie and his crew on football Saturdays and Sundays. You want to talk about a spirited bunch? Ah, Willie, it's nice to hear your voice.
Well, it is good to hear your voice as well. It's a shame I can't see you, but
Oh,
it's all good.
let's see if we can fix that for you.
Yeah, sorry I wasn't able to participate in the group text messages yesterday. I was a little occupied, a little
Okay.
occupado, but I
Okay.
was getting them and seeing them, so I was a
Okay.
little occupied.
A little occupied, huh? Uh, Wait a minute. Well, something's wrong with my teeth. Little preoccupied, huh?
Yeah, I was a
Oh,
little preoccupied.
I think I need to hear about this.
You hear about that offline.
Okay.
We ain't gonna share that with America, with the
Uh,
world right now.
okay. All right.
Yeah, but
Miss
normally I would have been a full participant because it was a lot of great conversation, but I kind of, was busy. So
Miss Occupied.
yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it since we don't have you for long. So we'll kind of switch the order. We were going to do a little bit of Browns first, but I definitely wanted to have you back to definitely talk about this AFC NFC championship matches. And the championship weekend did not go the way that I would have liked for it to have went. Let's start off with the AFC championship first. First of all, that game seemed like it took about 6 hours. It started at 3 o'clock and felt like it went off at 10 o'clock. That was one of the longest football games I think I've ever watched in my life. And it wasn't a high scoring affair. It was what, 17-10. It was one of those games in which, it was played in the trenches. And the outcome was not what I thought it was going to be at all. I thought Baltimore was going to, run shot of the Kansas City Chiefs because they had pretty much did that to every team in the NFL this season. They only had what, 3 regular season losses, and
Mm-hmm.
one to the Cleveland Browns, of course, at home, come from behind victory. I just want to,
Get
just
off.
want to refresh
Get it.
people's memories
Get it
just in
in.
case.
Get it
Yeah,
all in.
just in case people forgot. The Cleveland Browns came from behind at M&T Bank Stadium, but it was the Chiefs were ready for this game, and I thought they weren't going to be. I thought that they were going to be overwhelmed by Baltimore. I thought Baltimore was going to, I thought Lamar was going to be, regular Lamar. And they got to him very early. They got to him very often, and they threw that Baltimore offense out of sync. And that was pretty much all it took. And, unfortunately, some of the only, and I don't want to blame this on penalties, but Baltimore shot themselves in the foot. Kansas City had got in their head, the taunting penalty, the penalty where I forgot, was it Van Noy who pushed Travis Kelsey? And, this is Kansas City is a seasoned team. So they're used to pulling out all the tricks and stops and getting in their opponents' heads. And they obviously did that in what could have been a magical season for Baltimore to return back to the Super Bowl. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Kansas City went in there and dominated wire to wire.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I'm not a betting person because I would have lost money.
Yeah. I hate them.
I know Tisha is happy.
Yeah, she was insufferable in the chat on
Well, I
yesterday.
figured hers, because I don't have everybody's numbers, but I was able to isolate really quickly who she was in the chat.
Yeah. Well, let's just say this. I'm trying to get the head referee from the
Cleet
national.
Cleet
Huh?
Blakeman or something like that?
No, no,
Or
no,
was
no,
Cleet
no.
Blakeman the one for
No, 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 no. I'm trying to get the head referee from the national championship game in Houston.
oh,
This
why?
his huh?
Why?
Because he number one, he was the head referee. But a question that I want to ask him is this. As a referee and as a head referee that has officiated so many big games, what do you say to people who tell you or who say things like it's rigged? That's what I want to ask. That's like the number one question I want to ask him. And I'm going to get him on the show. His wife and I went to college together.
Are you
Back,
serious?
huh?
I said, are you serious?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Um, so that's a question I want to ask him. And I'm not gonna ask him per se, do they say that to him as a ref or as an officiant? But I want to know. I want to know with somebody that has that type of authority and is in that type of a position, what do they say when things like this are being said about these games? Because there's evidence there from this game in particular that will make you believe that, yeah, these games are rigged. Why? Because the Baltimore Ravens had the number one rushing offense in the NFL in 2023. Why did they drop back 82% of the time they had the ball? 82%. It's not like they were down by a bunch of scores. It's not like they had to mount this tremendous comeback and all they had to do, all they could do was put the ball in the air. 82% of the time they had the ball, they were passing per se.
Mm. Well,
Lamar,
do you think it was because the running game kind of, took forever to get started,
but
get going?
no, because that's not Baltimore's MO. You can put 14 players in the box, and the Baltimore Ravens are going to still run the ball. And they were running it with some success. And not only that, that is the Chiefs' weakest part of their defense is their ability to stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Haven't
the
they
reason.
always kind of struggled with that too?
Huh?
Haven't they always kind of struggled with that too?
The running game? Kansas,
Yeah, Chiefs defending the running game.
yeah, they have, but this year it's been better, but it's still the weakest part of their game. Especially when you have a team with Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, what's the other cat's name? I can't even think of his name. But they all had some success running the ball. And it's like their coordinator, whoever, Mr. Monk or Monkey. No, that ain't his name. What's the dude's name?
Todd Monken.
Todd Monken. I want to ask you, yo, man, how many dollars did they break you off for this?
Well, I think, the Chiefs, and I've said this before in the past, that the Chiefs always get a magical flag in order to keep drives going and put them in a position to win the game at certain points in the game. So yesterday was, nothing unexpected. I think that, that one drive where they had the two unsportsmanlike, conduct penalties, that was, 30 yards to enable them. I don't know if they were able to kick a field goal or whatever, because, the score was only 17-10. So, this was not a high scoring affair, I mean, points came by the premium, but the Chiefs continuously were able to keep drives alive. When they weren't able to convert on third down by these flags that came. So I can understand why people say, it was rigged, but also you have to look at the game that Baltimore played too, and they didn't play well. Lamar did not play well. Somebody had posted on Facebook today a superimposed image of Dak Prescott and Lamar again, and they said Dax Lamar, is at it again. It's kind of funny or whatever, and I just laughed, really loud. But unfortunately, they're just not known to have good playoff games, and unfortunately, this is what happened for Lamar Jackson, who should be the MVP this year. He looked all out of sorts. He couldn't connect with his receivers. One of the things I thought if they had won the play of the game were going to be when that pass got tipped up in the air, and he was the one who went and caught his own pass. I thought that Baltimore had won, that was going to be the play of the game right there. But, it wasn't meant to be. But, Baltimore didn't look good. I think in the text group, somebody said that his receivers let him down. Zay Flowers had some costly penalties. And I will always say that, when you fumble the ball in the end zone and it becomes a touchback for the other team is, I think, the worst rule in all of sports.
What should happen then?
I don't think it should be a touchback. I just think, it should be a fumble. Let it be a fumble. But even it's a touchback, even if they fumble out and nobody gets it, right?
But here's the thing, Rachel. That wasn't a touchback. That wasn't a touchback. The Chiefs recovered it in the end zone. So what you're saying, what the rule that I think you're talking about is when somebody fumbles the ball out of the end zone and there's no clear recovery.
Out. Yeah, completely out.
But that wasn't what this was though. He fumbled
did he fumble at the 1 yard line?
He fumbled it into the end zone and then the Chiefs recovered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the other one I'm talking about is the worst rule of all the sports.
Yeah. Come on, Sapphire, where you at?
I know. That's why I'm like, come on, Sapphire girl.
Because you know what? I don't know how much time we have from you. I really, really, really enjoy your perspective on it.
Half an hour.
Thank you. For me, and this may sound ridiculous, but the Ravens lost the game when Patrick Mahomes and Mr. Kelsey were able to pretty much that whole thing with Justin Tucker, the kicker. Like, no, I didn't see anyone from the Ravens come over even to stand by Tucker. So in that moment, when I looked at all that testosterone, I said, oh, Kansas City came to play. They don't care where they play. They came to play and win. And for me, from the kickoff to the end of the game, it seemed like Lamar Jackson and his offense kind of reminded me of how the Browns looked at Texans in our playoff game. They were not mentally locked in. Lamar looked skittish to me. Mm-hmm. He just looked out of sorts and skittish to me. And the defense of the Ravens, I just was disappointed. I really felt like they came into that game thinking they didn't have to put the work in at home. All the hyperbole, all of the pre-week stuff just got in between their heads. And that includes Coach Harbaugh. Hello. Like grab Lamar's mask, pull him into your face, say, Lamar, listen, we know we're champions, but we know we got to play this game. You know what your capacities are. Like, we just need you to be you and everything else will take care of itself. No, when I saw Harbaugh, he looked like he was watching that game just like I was. He looked like he was watching just like I was.
Wait, so Justin Tucker missed a field goal?
No, it was the pregame warm-up.
It was the pregame.
Oh, how Patrick Mahomes was getting in his head a little bit.
Kelsey.
Okay.
They threw his little kickstand. They threw his helmet.
Oh, I missed that.
Girl, yeah. And I'm like, where are the Ravens at? Where are the Ravens at? You're gonna let those clowns like get down on your team member like that? No.
I missed all that.
They should have been throwing flags before they even came onto the field in their uniform.
Oh,
see what I'm saying, Willie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's a seasoned veteran team. Ricky Smith says it seems to be a misery Monday for everyone here in Maryland except for me. Screw the Ratbirds. So I guess Ricky doesn't care about the Ravens losing or anything like that. And the first time,
right? Ain't he a Steelers fan?
Yeah, I think Ricky, you a Steelers fan, right? Yeah, like the first time I've ever rooted for the Ravens in my life. They lost.
It was funny because Willie, I think you remember my text. I was like, damn. I said to Rachel
Last
last
week.
week.
There she is.
Hi.
I said to Rachel last week, I still feel like the Ravens are like the original Browns, right? And we had a difference of opinion in that, and I agree. But watching them, especially the fumble, I was like, yeah, this is they're playing like the Browns and they're fumbling like the Browns. Like it was just sad to see it. I wanted to turn that game off at halftime, but I was like, no, I need to watch the rest of it, right, for the show. But they just didn't come out sharp. They didn't come out like we had seen them come out of their locker room all season, Willie.
Yeah, and Ricky, I hear what you're saying because you're talking about Misery Monday for everyone in Maryland. Trust me, dude, it ain't just in Maryland where the misery lies. Uh, I think there's a good percentage of the country that did not want to see the Chiefs advance to the Super Bowl. I think people are tired of Taylor Swift. She's not attractive at all.
Ooh.
She's not.
Leave
She's
Taylor
not.
alone. But she
She's
done pumped
not.
almost $350 million into the NFL for women watching, jersey sales, and stuff like that. So it's undeniable the effect that she's had economic wise on the NFL and bringing a new generation of younger football fans to the game just by her presence. She isn't even doing anything but sitting in a loge. That's it. And cheering like the average NFL fan does. So stop hating on Taylor Swift. I ain't even a Swiftie or anything like that, but no Taylor Swift slander.
So that's what we're doing. We're gonna spend
That's what
more
we
time.
doing.
We're gonna spend more time talking about that than what actually happened on the dang field.
No, we not, because we're gonna take Ricky's comment right quick, and then we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back and we'll finish up with this game. I don't know, you want to stay for a little NFC later, but
Please.
we're gonna do some of that. So Ricky says Baltimore got bullied on their home turf and they didn't take it well. They lost their composure. OC Todd Monken seemed to have a complete brain patootie. And with Willie Taylor's hot, she's also good for the league and they know it. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We will be right back.
Yeah, I like bad breath.
Rich. Can't listen. You can dictate your dominance on the field, but all this childish stuff.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the first lady of sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU at 95.9 FM. So Damian Hernandez says, I don't see why people are shocked and upset that the Ravens lost. Of course, they're going to lose when you have a so-called franchise QB who is actually a running back, wide receiver.
Ooh,
Lamar is
bring it,
not
Damian.
a quarterback. People need to stop. And he said, hyping him up like he's something special. And Ricky says, yes, I must confirm I am a Steelers fan. So, Damien, I take a little bit of issue with that,
Me
because one of
too.
the things is, they talked about Lamar when he first came back, when he first came out the league, saying that, he should be a wide receiver, running back, things like that. I think a lot of that was racially tied as well, where the old racial trope that a black person could not be quarterback in the NFL. And Lamar won MVP as a quarterback. And yes, there's still a little bit that could be desired with his ability to throw and throwing ability, but I still believe he's a quarterback. And he should be MVP this year, even though they lost. He had another MVP season, and I think he continues to improve as a thrower in his career. So, we can't say that anymore because he's proven that he's an
No
NFL
me
quarterback.
gusto, no me gusto.
Yeah. For Damien in that comment, I want to respectfully ask you a question, sir. Um, do you watch football? Because a player such as Lamar Jackson, with everything that he has accomplished at the quarterback position, going all the way back to Louisville, or however you want to say it, and the fact that he's won a Heisman, he actually went head to head against Deshaun Watson in college and beat him. He he was a unanimous MVP winner, and he's going to win it again this year. That's why I asked, do you watch football? Because I understand if you're not a fan of his, then say that, but don't say he's a quarterback that's playing, or he's a wide receiver that's playing quarterback, or he should have been a running back. That is disrespectful to everything that young man has worked and to improve who he is as a quarterback. And you're saying Reggie Bush won a Heisman too. Okay, but Reggie Bush played running back. You're not saying Reggie Bush was a running back that should have been a kick returner or a wide receiver. I mean, it's just disrespectful to say that. If you're not a fan of his play, then say that. But to say what you're saying, nah, man, that's not right.
Yeah, George says, explain something to me. I'm getting to your point too, Willie, about how does the number one team in running, Baltimore, only handed the ball off 6 times for the entire game? Why did the Crows go away from one of their strengths? By the way, Jackson will be the MVP of the league for the second time in his career. Ricky also says that Lamar is an MVP player. I liked him from afar since he was at Louisville. So, yeah, definitely. I think, Damien, unfortunately, the consensus is against you. And we believe that Lamar Jackson is a quality quarterback in the NFL. Top tier, top 10. Will we say top 5?
I will give him top 7.
Okay, top 7. Okay, I'll take it.
But here's the thing, though, because this is another thing we need to stop doing. As much as I hate them, and I hate them, we need to stop putting people on the same tier as Patrick Mahomes. He is on a tier by himself. It is Patrick Mahomes, and then there's Lamar, Joe, Justin, Josh. There's another tier. That might be the first tier, because the tier that Patrick Mahomes is on, it's a stratosphere. How y'all like the way I did that?
I love the way you play with words.
Yes, I am a word guy, and I like numbers too. So, I mean, I think this is this is just a shame, because now we have to start asking the questions on whether or not is this going to be Lamar's best chance to get to the Super Bowl. Because guess what? Justin Herbert just got a brand new coach. He ain't going nowhere. Patrick Mahomes ain't going nowhere. DJ Stroud ain't going anywhere. Josh Allen ain't going anywhere. Joe Burrow ain't going anywhere. Was this the best opportunity for this version of the Lamar's Ravens rather, to get to the Super Bowl.
I noticed that you left a name off of that list.
What name is that?
Deshaun Watson.
He got a he got, I'm not I did that intentionally. Now, if this were 2021, I would have put Deshaun on that list. But Deshaun just had a season-ending injury. And before you say, well, so did Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has been to the Super Bowl and to the AFC title game in 2 of the 4 years he's been in the league.
Yeah, Ricky says Lamar's chasing rings and trophies like Patrick Mahomes, folks. We get it, Ricky, no problem. One of the things, too, that Sapphire showed me during the break was the video of Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes messing with Justin Tucker. I'm like, that type of stuff should not be allowed. And, he's this little dude, so he's just there taking it, not asserting himself or anything like that. You get in their face, show them that you're not scared. This is your stadium. You're the number one team, the number one seed going on into all this, and you letting them bully you. And first of all, I just lost a lot of respect that I had for Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I really didn't have too much respect for them anyway. But I see the mind games that they're able to play and why they're so successful at it. Like drawing those taunting penalties and then laughing and all that other stuff. That's the kind of stuff you see in basketball. And that's Draymond Green right there for you.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And so for me, that penalty, what was it, McCoy? What was his name?
Van Noy, yeah.
I thought, okay, look, I'm old school. Back in the day, it was always the man that reacted to the provocateur. Okay, so we already know that script has been written. I thought the referees, if they were going to throw that flag, they had a golden opportunity to squash all that nonsense, but they didn't do it. And unfortunately, to the point that you made about how many more millions of dollars that this Taylor Swift is bringing into the game, now we're not just dealing with football. We're not just dealing with what is happening on the field, right? Because all these owners care about is making their money. They don't care about their athletes, right? So you got Travis out there acting like a 5-year-old. You got Patrick Mahomes being complicit in it. Even on some of the plays, when Travis runs motion, I distinctly remember watching Patrick kind of like tap his butt. Like, they're buddies. So they are lockstep. And it's just, for me, it was such a yuck moment. And I was pretty neutral. But having seen this in that game time and again, I have no choice but to root for the 49ers. I just want to see them get the Kansas City Chiefs getting beaten down. That's all I got.
Ricky Smith said Van Anoy.
Yes, Van Anoy. I love it. Ricky, you got to call in. I love you already.
He used to play for the Patriots too.
Huh?
Kyle Van Noy used to play for the Patriots.
Oh, did he? So he know better.
Well,
I was like, man, you can't get them ticky-tack penalties like that. They always penalize the second person and never the first. They should know better by now. But you think that, they would know that there's a lot at stake, like the taunting penalty, Zay Flowers. And I'm like, first of all, you're behind. You're not even up. Why are you taunting?
Yeah. And how about that hand? He self-lacerated.
Oh, yeah.
Sideline. That was crazy. Where is the discipline, really? You're a man. You know football. You know the energy on the sidelines between the coaches, the assistant coaches, all those people and the players. Where was that? Listen, let's pull it together. We got enough game left here. We're not getting beaten down. Where was that at yesterday for the Ravens,
Willie? Because the game was 5 hours long.
I wish I knew. And for me, I'm pulling for the 49ers too. And it has nothing to do because I hate the 49ers as well. I got a text message thread with my cousins that still live in the town, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of them live in the city, some of them are Niners fans or whatnot. But one of my cousins that lives in the town was like, yo, I cannot pull for the whiners, as that's what he calls them. And I said to him, I get that, because for me, I hate Kansas City so much that I will root for them. I will root against them every single time unless they're playing the Cowboys. And at that point, I'm really rooting for the referees in a game like that.
Ah! I
So
just can't do it, guys. I can't do it. I can't root for Kansas City. I can't root for San Fran. I got invited to a Super Bowl party. I might just go for the, go for the party aspect, but this is one in which I'm not invested and I don't care because if you think about it, San Francisco has multiple Super Bowls already. Kansas City is looking to, have multiple Super Bowls. Because what was that old coach that they had that used to dress up a lot? Old school, back in like the 60s or whatever.
Hank Stram.
Yes, Hank Stram. Didn't they have titles back then too? So they got more than enough titles. I'm sick of both of these teams having all these titles. Somebody need to win something else. I was looking for a Baltimore-Detroit Super Bowl or a rematch between Kansas City and Detroit, and I'm not getting it. So I'm kind of mad, and I'm just out there without a team.
Here's the thing,
I'm
though.
rooting for the 49ers too because of Bosa,
Here-
former Buckeye. That's one.
He a racist.
Oh, okay. Breaking news.
Is he?
Tell it, girl. I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's the
Oh, he's a
backstory.
Trump supporter. And yes, Trump supporters are racist. So we're just going to go ahead and take that. If you disagree, drop that in the comments. But a big Trumper. Big
But
Trumper.
I was also very impressed with McCaffrey. I think he was one of the driving forces that changed the direction of that game. Like the intensity was there, the look on his eyes was there. Now I thought he broke his neck near the end of the game, but
You
he's
didn't
just, okay. He's just to me, he is that type of player that can inspire. Because they were in a lull, they were over there arguing with each other on the sideline, but he just stepped up. He went next level, and I thought really was the biggest reason why they won that game.
Maybe I can root for Chase Young a little bit because he is a Buckeye, and he was with the Commanders who were just sorry. So maybe I can root for him a little bit. But I'm just torn. But hey, guys, we're up against it. We're gonna take a break really quick.
Real quick, I just got a text from Noreen Sugar who says the Kansas City Chiefs are going to kick some San Francisco booty.
I don't know. This is gonna be a good game. I mean, if they get their Brock Purdy, we're gonna get to talking about that. I think if they can get to Brock Purdy, that Kansas City, might be able to get it done. But we're gonna talk about that in a second because we're gonna go to we're gonna hit the NFC before Willie got to get out of here. So we're gonna take a break really quickly. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Thanks for letting me do that.
Huh?
Thanks for letting me do that.
Oh, no problem.
So when you stream, where are these people at?
Where?
These people that are in the comments, where are they coming from?
Oh, all over the country.
No, I meant are they on StreamYard?
Yeah, you can see them on StreamYard. Can you see the comments?
I can see the comments. I just don't know where. Like some are green, some it looks like a picture.
Oh, that was it.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU at 95.9 FM. Remember, you can always keep it locked right here on your regular radio dial at 95.9 FM. You can download that WOVU app so you can listen to us on the go. You can also listen online at WOVU.org, and you can always contact the station with any questions, comments, concerns, 216-271-0959, or you can always join us watching us visually on StreamYard. So we love to have you. We love your comments. George Bendicky says that, Ricky said first at the Winers, he's still in that. Many Winers fans are annoying too. And George says KC won Super Bowl 4 over Minnesota. That's their old school type trophy. So yeah, there we go. So they won before. San Fran has won before. So, I'm just kind of torn because it's two of the teams I hate the most. And it's funny, I didn't hate Kansas City a couple years ago. When they played San Francisco the first time against my heartbeat, Jimmy Garoppolo, I rooted for Kansas City. So they got their Super Bowl. So I'm like, okay, that's fine, cool, or whatever. And then, they just continue to win. And it's like, okay, I want somebody else to win now. Just like the Patriots, you get Chiefs fatigue. I've been had, San Francisco fatigue in the 90s, in the late 80s, when they beat Cincinnati. And I forgot who made that leap and catch over the Bengals, because we were rooting for the Bengals. So, during that Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Steve Young era, I was, fatigued over San Francisco. So let's go ahead and
they were so deep, man. I can't hate on that. They were just deep.
I can. I stay hating. I can. I hated them. And then they transitioned from Joe Montana. Joe Montana went to the Chiefs and didn't do nothing with the Chiefs. And they took Marty Schottenheimer too, right? Marty went to the Chiefs too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they took Marty Schottenheimer. He wasn't able to do too much with him, but and then San Francisco stayed good, and they went like through a little drought without winning any Super Bowls or anything like that. But they back on top, and I'm just over it. You know what I'm saying? Like, go ahead and get out of here. So, now we got this rematch. It should be very interesting. What are you guys' thoughts about the Detroit game? Because I thought Detroit was going to rout, San Francisco. I'm like, okay, Detroit came to play. They out here on the road. They about to go to their first Super Bowl. Dan Campbell got these boys going. And then I left from where I was at, but where they was up. And then, I ended up not being able to, I followed on my phone. Also, that text message group that you have is,
on fire.
Yeah. So y'all was keeping me up to date and stuff like that. But I just did not see the outcome. I did not anticipate the outcome that we got because I thought that Detroit was on their way to their first Super Bowl and they're not. And I'm very sad about that.
I mean, but for me, it was, Karl Malone. Let me clear my talked about in the series with the Bulls, don't sell the wolf tickets quite yet. And that's what I kind of thought Detroit did, right? Like, for me, it's all about optics, right? And I thought that once they got up, I think they were up 17 points at one point, I thought they lost their focus. The little things that don't seem significant at the time, but that can kind of accumulate like a snowball into an avalanche. And that includes Coach Campbell, right? There was that, I don't know why he decided not to kick that field goal. And help me out here, Willie. In the fourth quarter, I think it was. There were still several minutes left of the game. And for whatever reason, and I think in the chat, your guy said he should have gone with the Badger. He should have let the Badger kick. Like, I thought that was like an anvil moment. And when he did that and they failed to convert that, I said, that was the game right there. I mean, they had great momentum. What do you think about that?
That was one of probably 4 moments. That's how crazy this game was. And I was going for Detroit, okay? Because I got people in Detroit. They are long-suffering Lions fans. I've actually had them send in messages and play it on the show. So I was going for Detroit for that reason alone. And then when Kansas City won, I really was torn because I don't think Detroit would have been able to beat Kansas City. I feel like San Francisco has a better chance of beating the Chiefs than the Lions would. But in terms of this game, it's kind of like, for me, like the Houston Texans. What they did to you guys in the opening round was shocking and surprising and all that. But when they go to Baltimore, you're a team that has a rookie quarterback and you have a rookie head coach. You're not going to ball into balling in the NFL. Right. So I feel the same way about Detroit in the fact that they haven't been in the playoffs since, 16-19. They haven't won a game since 14-19.
You said 16-19.
They haven't won a game. They haven't won.
All right, Hannah Jones.
They haven't won a playoff game since 1776. And the thing is that what they did this year, we all expected them to. Everybody picked the Lions to win the NFC North. But you're not gonna ball into balling. So we have fun with Detroit against Tampa. And then of course against who they played the first game. It was the Rams. We had fun with them when they played the Rams, and we had fun with them when they played the Bucks. But you're not going to ball into balling. Well, what I mean by when I say that is you can't reasonably expect for a team that has had the type of history that they've had to end up going to the Super Bowl by beating the number 1 seed at their place. And I'm not talking about rigged stuff, although, I could see somebody's point. What I'm saying is that on the other side, in Santa Clara, California, is a team that has been to the Super Bowl. They've been to the NFC Championship game This was the third time in the last 5 years.
Mhm.
They know what to do. And Detroit showed that they didn't quite know what to do. They started dropping balls. Josh Reynolds had 2 key drops. Dan Campbell, I understand your intestinal fortitude. What are you, huh?
I was just finish your point because I had something about Dan Campbell.
Oh, Dan Campbell, I was like, I'm in trouble. Dan Campbell, I understand your intestinal fortitude, but at you as a head coach or as anybody that's in position of leadership, you have to be able to evolve in the moment. You can't always be exactly who you are. This is what I used to tell. This is what I used to tell my kids. You cannot be 100% of who you are 100% of the time. So while they were running the ball and they stopped running the ball, I get it. But the margin is it's just like playoff baseball. The margin for error is so much smaller as you the more you advance in the playoffs. You think about it in playoff baseball, how they'll shrink the rotation to 3 pitchers. Well, if you're in a situation like this with the Lions were, and you're in field goal range and you got a kicker that's a pretty good kicker, and you have an opportunity to tie the game, you got to take the points, homie.
There you go.
And that's why Dan Campbell didn't learn anything from that Dallas Cowboys game. And I was not watching the end of the game, but I saw that, the ESPN thing was showing me that it was 4th and 3 and he went for a deep ball. He didn't learn anything from Dallas. You take the points in an NFC championship game against a team that has done it before. You make sure you get some points out of that. Why are you throwing, deep on 4th and 3?
They
You
got
sit
food
down
on
and
that
say,
play. They
huh?
got food. They got food on that play because the 49ers dropped back into their normal zone defense. If you notice when they sent I can't remember who it was, when they sent that receiver in motion, the 49ers defender went with them, making you think that it's man-to-man coverage. But when they snapped the ball, they all dropped back into their zones, and those crossing routes that are man beaters were suddenly covered up. So that made Jared Goff flush to the right, and then try to hit it would have been a one of those catches like Ayuk Bay where you just can't believe it. But they had it covered up. So that's the reason why it looked worse than it really was, because everything underneath was covered. So when he moved out to the right, at that point, he's just trying to make a play on a scramble drill.
Yeah, it didn't work. So, I expect a little bit better than Dan Campbell on that, to draw something up a little bit better than that. Ricky Smith said he never had Steelers fatigue in the 70s. He was there. Detroit is disappointed. Damian Hernandez says this Super Bowl is going to feel like the Bucks and Chiefs. So I think the Chiefs win in a blowout. I don't trust that the defense, especially after these last 2 games. Yeah, Mahomes doesn't have wide receivers to throw to, but he is Mahomes. And he said, for some reason, and to be honest, I don't trust Purdy. Don't get me wrong, he is good, but once CMC and Debo goes down, he gets stuck. And you notice that during the game against the Cleveland Browns is the only team to beat both number 1 seeds. Just in case people forgot about that, just want to put that out there. And Ricky Smith says that the lights were too bright for the Lions. Willie, what's wrong with you? Why you got your hand in your hands? I just had to make sure I put that historical
No.
for 2023 out there.
I want to come back on the other side of the break because I want to address what Damian said about Brock Purdy.
All right, Damien, hold tight. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
It's not just a ring, it's a winter wonderland in the heart of University.
All right, welcome back to Her and the Huddle on WOVU at 95.9 FM. George Bendicky says Detroit on fourth down lived and died with their decision. Yesterday, they died with their decision they made during the game on the road. Don't you usually take points during games when they present themselves? And by the way, Brock Purdy, whether drafted number 1 or number 262, can play boys and girls.
Yes. Let me have it.
Go ahead.
People need to understand something about Brock Purdy. And George's is 100% correct. He can play football. He belongs in the NFL as a starting quarterback. Can we please stop saying things like, well, he's a product of the system?
Yeah.
Can we stop saying things like, if Debo and whoever else is out, we're going to see who he really is? Can we stop saying things like Brock Purdy is he's not Patrick Mahomes nor Josh Allen or whoever else? Can we just stop saying those things?
Well, I don't think he has to be. He's been able to win by being himself and just being a good quarterback.
My point is this, and George hit it right on the head. Brock Purdy was the last player chosen in the draft. He was the last player chosen in the draft. All these other cats, Josh Allen, first rounder, top 10 pick. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs moved up to get him, top 10 pick. Lamar Jackson, 25th pick overall. Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert. Who am I missing? Joe Burrow, number 1 overall pick. Brock Purdy was the last pick in the NFL. And yet his performance, you can say, not necessarily rivals those guys, but it rivals those guys in terms of what the 49ers need him to do. I don't think the 49ers care whether or not they win because of Brock Purdy or in spite of Brock Purdy.
Right.
I can guarantee you they don't give a darn whether that happens or not. So can we just stop saying, well, I don't trust Brock Purdy? Why not? Why not? He was the last pick in the draft. Dak Prescott was a 4th round draft pick and got beat by Purdy and got destroyed by Purdy earlier in the year and in the playoff game last year. Can we just stop doing that? He's not in the same category as those guys, and that's okay.
And I think that's what makes what Kyle is doing so special, right? Because where I come from, is it nice to have a Patrick Mahomes? Yeah. But how often does a Patrick Mahomes caliber player come along? What I want, thank you, Willie. What I want is for my QB to be able to understand the play calling, the situation, and put the ball into the playmaker's hands, right? On the offensive side, right? I totally agree with what you're saying because there was a lot of haterism on that chat yesterday. And I just was like, wow, right? So I'm in agreement with you. And honestly, I mean, I know I said I have no choice but to root for the 49ers, but I actually believe they can beat the Chiefs. Technically, it's more of a home game for them than an away game, right? They are more healthy, except for McCaffrey, than I think the Chiefs are, right? Especially on the defensive side. So I don't know about a blowout, but I expect a very competitive game, and I would not be surprised, depending on what that money line is. I may have to put some dollars on this because I think the Niners could beat the Chiefs.
They have the better team.
Mm-hmm.
They have the better team.
Yeah, I think so too. Ricky also says Purdy was a huge reason for the Niners comeback yesterday, and he is Mr. Irrelevant no longer. And I mean, hats off to the 49ers scouting department. All this comes from scouts, being worth their weight in gold, and to be able to pick him the last pick of the last pick of the draft. And, he's about to have you in your 3rd Super Bowl in the last 5 years. And, that's just just amazing. And you can always Tom Brady can always say, I was drafted, one round before the last round. And what if Tom Brady was Mr. Irrelevant? So it doesn't matter where you're drafted. What matters is what you do when you get there on the field. And Brock Purdy is just kind of amazing because it was last year's NFC Championship game, right? And when she got hurt, and then I forgot the dude who they put in there who seemed super skittish. I forgot what his name was, but I was looking for a better game between them and Philly, and I didn't get it. Obviously hoping Philly won because I'm not a 49ers fan, but it is what it is. But just hats off to the 49ers scouting department as well.
And you know what, real quick, Willie, before you jump in, I just gotta say, for all of the off the field optics, I love that cut to his father, like fist pumping, arms raised, like I love that. This was a kid, a young man that came out of a school most people have to look up on ESPN to even know exists, right? And he hasn't let his fame overwhelm him. He's put the real work in, and he's got a great relationship with his offensive team, not only on the field but off the field. I mean, to me, that's the story of football, not who's sitting in a loge, right, bantering around. So I just had to stick that in.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I know you guys are going to be doing a Super Bowl preview show. If not, you already know you have an open invitation to come on ours.
Oh, good. I'm there.
I haven't figured out what day it's going to be yet, but it's going to be either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, the week before the Super Bowl or the week of the Super Bowl. Here's the thing too, and I hear what that guy is saying. Damien, I think his name was. Is that right?
Mr.
About it being a blowout. Here's something that you need to really look at. Would you rather have Brock Purdy or Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback?
I listen. Wait, are you talking about to play on the field or for some other reason? Because Rachel's giving me this look like you didn't.
I ain't talking about nothing but on the field.
I say, my quarterback, Brock Purdy to look at Jimmy Garoppolo all day, the day.
We ain't talking about how he looks, because he looks horrible on the sideline carrying a clipboard, making $30 million a year. And throwing 8 interceptions after 3 games, more than anybody else did. Don't get me started on that.
He's still fine, though.
Would you rather have Brock Purdy as your quarterback? Let me specify, or Jimmy Garoppolo? I think the answer would be
I'd rather have Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. Okay, let's look at the running backs that the 49ers had the first time they met in the Super Bowl, which was Elijah Mitchell, or I don't even know if Elijah was there at that point, but you had Jeff Wilson Jr., you had Matt Breida, and you had Raheem Mostert. Would you rather have any one of those guys, or would you rather have Christian McCaffrey?
Absolutely McCaffrey.
So, and by the way, their defense, now they have Hargraves, who they signed in the offseason from Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. They got Randy Gregory, pass rusher extraordinaire. They have Chase Young, pass rusher extraordinaire, along with Bosa.
Yep.
They didn't have those pieces when they played the Chiefs the first time. Mm-hmm. And you're telling me it's going to be a blowout?
I don't think so. I think it'll be close.
This 49ers team is more loaded than that team was. Yeah. The quarterback is better. I would like to think that Kyle Shanahan got a measure of some common sense, so he's going to be a better coach in this game. Mm-hmm. George Kittle has shown that he is one of the best 5 tight ends in the league. And some even said that this season he surpassed Travis Kelce because of all of those drops.
What about Juszczyk?
And Juszczyk is he's the X factor. Did you see that toe tap catch that he made on the sideline?
No, I missed it.
It was reminiscent of one Chris Carter.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
Remember the touchdown catch Santonio Holmes in the corner of the end zone against the
Yes,
Cardinals in
I
the Super
do.
Bowl.
Yes, I do.
So you know what happened that Super Bowl? I was living in Richmond, Virginia, and there was a whole bunch of storms, and my power went out. And it's like
Oh.
8 o'clock at night, so I had nothing to do. But like that. What's that? That Christmas thing, Mom in her kerchief. So I
Mhm.
put my little bonnet on. I blew my candles out and just went to bed. So I never knew what happened until the next day because my power went out, and I didn't know your power was connected to your heat. So I was freezing, and I put on a whole bunch of blankets. But I missed the ending of that Super Bowl because I had no power.
How do you not know that your heat is connected to your electricity?
I didn't know because I had just moved from an apartment complex that had free heat.
No.
So I didn't know. But yeah, I missed that. I missed that catch. But carry on. Sorry.
But yeah, but that's what it's reminiscent of. And Ushek was there in 2000, whatever it was, or Super Bowl 54. So 2019. It was the year right before the pandemic hit. I had a Super Bowl party that Sunday.
And we wasn't invited.
I didn't know you then.
I know. I just wanted to get me crap.
So to say this is going to be a blowout, I think is a little bit of a stretch. I mean, and the thing is that this Kansas City offense they don't have the ability to blow people out.
Well, the one thing for me is they do have the ability to protect one Patrick Mahomes, right? And so I know that the Ravens got to him finally, but like for me, that would be a beautiful thing to see. Chase or Bosa just get in there and tap that trunk. We don't know that Patrick Mahomes, right? That's up against constant pressure like that, right? I don't care about hurries. I'm talking about sacks, right?
Mhm.
So that's the one thing, the one question mark I have. But everything else, I'm right on board with you, Willie.
Yeah, Ricky said, Sapphire, you nasty girl. I think he was talking about me. And my
Yes,
love
Ricky,
is
'cause I go
Jimmy
to church.
Garoppolo.
I go to church. I'm up in it. What do they call it? Porn Jimmy porn. Thank you for clarifying.
I can't help who Jimmy dates, but Jimmy called me 216-271-0959. And then Ricky says
Mike
he's not even going to
Jones.
attempt to spell Kyle's names. I wanted to give out my real phone number, but I'm not going to. But Jimmy, you can call me at any time. Yeah, but
Yeah, maybe you
so
can help him be a better quarterback.
Hey, I got a pretty good spiral too, just by the way. So, but yeah, I definitely think it's going to be an interesting Super Bowl. Obviously, we're going to have some more next week for you. I'm going in that Super Bowl preview, but just after watching that video, them messing with Justin Tucker, who wasn't bothering a soul, just doing his job. Made me hate Travis Kelce, even though he's from Cleveland Heights. He's from the town next door over to mine, Willie. So, normally I would root for him, but I just can't see myself doing that. So, hey guys, that's our time. It is 6:59. So go ahead, Sapphire. I know you got something really quick.
Damien, I want you to come back next week. You were awesome. I want you to come back next week. Promise me, Poppy. Venga.
Ricky, we appreciate you. Thank you. Great show tonight as well. Thank you for your interaction. Willie, thank you so much for being with us today. We miss you. So for Willie, for Sapphire, for me, we are out of here. Have a wonderful week, everybody.
You're awesome, Willie.
Thank you, Willie. We appreciate
Awesome.
you. And thank you for staying the whole time too.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll